Welcome to my first 2025 NFL mock draft, and with the first pick, my Tennessee Titans select... I can't believe we suck so bad that we got the #1 pick. Now, I think this ends up going either one of three ways for my Titans. I think option number one is pick a quarterback, and that's obviously going to be a two-man race between Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. Option number two, they could possibly trade down with somebody who wants to come up for one of those quarterbacks, or they could just go ahead and take probably Abdul Carter with the #1 pick because we need pass rush so bad. Now the question is, what do I think the Titans end up doing? I'm not going to do this mock draft based on who I think should go to each team. I'm going to base it on who I think the teams are going to pick. And I think with the #1 pick, dude, it's ultimately going to come down to the quarterback position. Somehow Brian Callahan survived a 3-14 season, but he's on the hottest of hot seats going in the next season. Like, the team's going to have to show tremendous improvement for him to keep his job going into the next year. I think the only way that's going to be possible is if they take a quarterback here. I mean, we saw what the Commanders did with Jaden Daniels, dude. So I think being given the luxury of the #1 pick, you just cannot pass up on a quarterback when your team needs QB. Like, yes, I am still wearing my Will Levis jersey, but I just don't think he's going to be the guy moving forward. I think he could possibly end up being a quality starting quarterback down the line with somebody else in a different scenario. But unfortunately, the Titans don't have the luxury of waiting around right now. And to save his job, Brian Callahan is going to have to take either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. And personally, when I think these coaching staffs and front office sit down, evaluate the prospects, look at the tape, I think it is going to become obvious that the best quarterback in this draft class is Cam Ward. I think once people really start to break things down, it's going to be obvious that Cam Ward has the better arm, he's the better athlete, he's a better playmaker. As of right now, Shedeur probably does have a little bit better accuracy than him, but Shedeur just creates so many sacks just holding on to the ball for way too long. The Titans are just too used to that with Will Levis. And like, this is not whatsoever meant to like knock Shedeur Sanders. I just think Cam Ward is a special prospect. Not to mention, he's had to learn 3 offenses in 3 seasons at the FCS level, at Washington State, and then last season at Miami. And each season with a different team, he elevated the team around him. They got a lot better. So I think if you can draft Cam Ward, keep him in the same place, in the same system for a few years, I truly believe he can develop into a very special quarterback. And this, my friends, is where I think things start to get crazy. And we're just at pick #2. I truly wholeheartedly believe that the Browns are not going to take another quarterback right now. Their situation is crazy, and they just can't allocate any more money to that quarterback position. So I truly believe the Browns are going to make the smart decision here and trade back with another quarterback-needy team. And as of right now, the rumors are Ben Johnson is going to be the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Even if it ends up being somebody else, I think they make the same decision. I think the Browns are going to trade down with Las Vegas. I don't know what it would take to move down 4 spots, probably like 37, maybe 73, like in next year's second. That's not what's important right now. What's important is the Raiders move up, and I wholeheartedly believe this is going to be the landing spot for Shedeur Sanders. Deion's publicly said before that he would love for his boys to play in Las Vegas. The Raiders need a quarterback. They need a new face of their franchise. I think Shedeur could be solid in the NFL, especially if you give him Brock Bowers to throw to 15 times a game. I think out of the other teams that really need a quarterback, Las Vegas is probably just the best fit for him, especially if they do end up hiring Ben Johnson. That takes us to the New York Giants at pick #3, and I think it's really going to come down to 2 players. I think it's probably pretty obvious. I think it's either going to be Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. And this is going to be tough, dude, because Travis Hunter, obviously a generational prospect. Who knows if he's going to play both ways in the NFL. Abdul Carter, one of the best pass rushers we have seen in a long time. I don't even think it's close that he's above and beyond every other pass rusher in this draft, which is a take for sure, because this is one of the best edge drafts we have seen in a long time. There's going to be a lot of really, really good pass rushers drafted at the end of the first round, early second. I mean, I think we could see maybe like even 7, 8, 9 edge rushers drafted in this first round. But at the end of the day, I do not believe the Giants pass up on Travis Hunter. I feel like it just fits Travis Hunter in New York. I think the New York Giants faithful will be above the moon with this selection, which takes us to the New England Patriots at pick #4. And they're a team as well with their new head coach, Mike Vrabel. Makes me sad as a Titans fan, but they're a team that has so many different needs, and this first pick is probably going to be decided on like what they do in free agents, depending on like who they add at what positions. They have a ton of money. I think they have the most cap space in the NFL going into free agency. I think this is going to come down to probably like 2-3 players. I think obviously Abdul Carter is definitely on the cards here. McMillan out of Arizona, probably easily the #1 receiver in the draft. They also obviously need offensive line help, but this just isn't really a strong tackle class. I know Will Campbell's listed as a tackle, but he has really short arms. He's probably going to end up playing guard in the league. I think if this was a good tackle class, the Patriots would be going tackle here, but they need a #1 receiver for the young quarterback Drake May. I think McMillan is going to be the selection there. I'd like to thank Tennis Clash for sponsoring today's video. Tennis Clash is the #1 mobile tennis game on the planet, and I love that it actually delivers the ultimate mobile tennis experience. I've been playing the game myself the last few weeks, and I've been having an absolute blast. The game is super simple to learn, but at the same time has incredible depth, and the game mechanics are super close to real tennis, making every match super exciting and super immersive. And right now, you can get in on the action with Tennis Clash as they partner with the Australian Open. From January 12th to January 26th, you can dive into the game's events, which brings the Australian Open court right to your fingertips. You can even gear up with Australian Open skins and uniform. You can experience the thrill of the Grand Slam season and become a champion. Now, I do love Tennis Clash's fast-paced gameplay. The games are quick, but it makes for perfect expedited fun. The graphics are great, and I love the fact that you get a great experience without intrusive ads popping up all the time. It's perfect for players who want a fun, engaging experience without a billion interruptions. And the fun doesn't stop here with the next Grand Slam, Roland Garros. Tennis Clash will take its champions to Paris for the finals of the E-Series, live and in real life. Now, don't miss out on the chance to be amongst the ultimate champions, as you can download Tennis Clash with the QR code on the screen or by clicking the link in the description box below. Which brings us to the Jags, which Abdul Carter still being here is insane, but I feel like just a better fit for the Jags and what they need right now. They need a guy like Mason Graham. Mason Graham, I have him going 5 to the Jags. I feel like that's probably one of the most obvious picks yet. They also could go Will Johnson, so I really think like you kind of disregard Abdul Carter here. I think it's gonna come down to Mason Graham or Will Johnson, and I think like they could go either way, but I think it's gonna come down to Mason Graham, which this is the absolute perfect scenario for the Cleveland Browns. If they're not gonna go quarterback, they probably wanted Abdul Carter in the first place. They could have just went ahead and taken him at 2 instead of trading down. This is every Browns fan's fantasy, getting like a few second-round picks, a third-round pick out of trading down, and also landing Abdul Carter at the same time. Having him and Myles Garrett in the same front 7 is going to be absolute nuts. Now, the Jets at pick number 7, I do believe this is where we're going to see the first tackle drafted off the board. And again, it's not going to be Will Campbell. He'll probably go in like the early teens possibly. I think they're going to go #1 tackle on their board, and I believe that's going to end up being Kelvin Banks out of Texas. I think he has all-pro potential. Again, it's a rather weak tackle class. Like, I think he'd be behind like Joe Walt. He'd been behind J.C. Latham last year, probably behind Olaf Ashton as well. But he's still like quality tackle. I think the Jets would be over the moon to have him and protect whoever the heck they roll out at quarterback next season. That brings us to the Panthers, and they're in a position to really just take best player available. I could see them taking a wide receiver. Like if McMillan had fell to them, they'd probably take him there. But I think Luther Burthen's going to fall a little bit probably in the middle of the first round. I don't think he's going to go top 10. It's not really an overly strong wide receiver class. Like it's good like middle of the round guys. There's a lot of guys like that in that range that could end up being quality, but not a lot of like top tier talent at the wide receiver position. So I think they just go best player available, and I think that's Will Johnson right now. Pair him up with J.C. Horn, and the Panthers have one of the best DB duos in the league. That brings us to the Saints here at pick number 9, and brother, they are in a predicament. They literally need absolutely everything. Like they go wide receiver, they could even go tight end. They also need help on the defensive line, and you know who I feel like is probably a dark horse here? He's probably like, where even is he? Oh, there he is, Mykel Williams. It's like he's one of those guys that everybody is gonna fall in love with in the pre-draft process. He's an athletic freak. He might not have put up the numbers that you really expected from a guy who can go top 10, but we've seen that in the past. Like people just fall in love with the athletic traits of pass rushers. And I don't know, this feels like a Mykel Williams pick to me. Like I definitely could see them going maybe Malachi Starks. They could go receiver, like I said, they could go Tyler Warren too. Like that would actually be a pretty nice pick for him. But I think they're gonna go edge rusher, and I think that pick is gonna be Mykel Williams out of Georgia. Because that brings us to the Chicago Bears and their team that I think their #1 need is not running back, it's offensive line. Now the question is, do you go ahead and take Will Campbell here, who is an incredible offensive lineman? I just don't know if he's going to play tackle in the league. Like Josh Simmons could be in play here. I just think even the tackle out of Missouri could be in play here, but I think this might be a spot where Will Campbell goes. Like, yes, he's probably going to play guard, but he has all pro potential from like day 1. So I don't think Bears fans to be mad at this pick. We're going Will Campbell. That brings us to the 49ers. They're another team that needs offensive line help. And I'm sitting here like looking at the players that are available. Like Malachi Stark still being here is incredible. Like he's an insane safety. I just don't know. Like you just don't see safeties go top 10 that often. Like I don't think he's gonna be in play here though. It's just crazy he's still remaining. Same thing with Ashton Jeanty. They need offensive line help pretty bad. Trent Williams, obviously never know when he's gonna retire. I think the obvious 49ers pick here is Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. Need offensive line, and he's probably the best tackle still on the board. That brings us to what I believe is one of the most obvious picks in this draft yet. We don't know who the Cowboys coach is going to be this next season, but I don't think it really matters. They don't have a running back under contract for next season. Rico Dowdle's a free agent. Who knows if they give him money? Ashton Jeanty to the Cowboys would break the freaking NFL, dude. In this situation, dude, he would break the record for rookie jersey sales in the first freaking week. He is just such an incredible player, dude. I don't care what you say about the competition he went up against. He is a generational running back, probably the best. I'm taking a running back this high. Lions did it with Jahmyr Gibbs. That turned out pretty well. I think it's another situation, dude, that Ashton Jeanty could just completely on his own transform that Cowboys offense. Now, pick number 13 with the Dolphins, like depending what happens with Tyreek Hill, dude, like they definitely could go wide receiver, but at the same time, Devon Holland is a free agent. Malachi Starks is just sitting there, dude. He's just like, talent-wise, he's a top 10 player. I think the Dolphins are going to see that. They're going to have to take him. I feel like this is one of the picks that just makes the most sense so far. That takes us to the Colts, dude, and this worries me because I really feel like the Colts here would go one way, and I think, unfortunately, that is Tyler Warren. He is such a good tight end prospect. Not on the level as Brock Bowers, but not as far behind as Brock Bowers as you might believe. I was scared the Colts were going to get Brock Bowers last year. They didn't, and Tyler Warren goes here. Tyler Warren, again, he's one of those guys somebody could trade up for. Like, somebody could trade up for him. Like, again, he could have gone 9 to the Saints here. But I think the Colts and their fan base would be over the moon to get Tyler Warren there. And that takes us to the Falcons, who do need, like, a plethora of positions here. Like, Luther Burden, again, I don't think he's really, he has so much potential. I just don't know if he's a top 10 player. And the question is, like, do the Falcons go receiver, like, pair up somebody super solid with Drake London for young Michael Penix to throw to? I don't think so. I think they go with another prospect that a lot of people are going to fall in love with in the pre-draft process. I believe that's going to be Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Georgia. I mean, he's one of those, like, Micah Parsons type, either playing the box, can play in the D-line, can rush the passer. He's just a special prospect and a guy that you can inject into that Falcons front seven and immediately make him better day one. Now, the Cardinals are a team here that desperately need help in the trenches, whether that's going to be in the offensive line or the defensive line. And the one player that really stands out to me here that I feel like could get taken a lot higher is Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. Guy was an absolute dog on the interior, like helped Michigan last season to a national championship. That front seven was insane. I think this is a perfect spot for him in Arizona. It takes us to the Bengals here, and this is another pick that I think really comes down to what happens with T. Higgins, which I do believe, as much as a Titans fan, I want T. Higgins to come to Tennessee. He grew up in Tennessee, was a Titans fan growing up, so it could potentially happen. Don't scream at me for that. But I think it's going to disappoint me because he's going to stay in Cincinnati. They're not going to let him leave. And in that scenario, they're going to have to probably go either interior offensive line or maybe get somebody to help out that pass rush. But Jack Sawyer could be a guy here. Also, James Pierce. He has fell so far. There's a great chance he gets picked a lot higher than this. Honestly, dude, he's like, I know they have him ranked at like 30 for some reason here. No, he's the top 15 player, and him falling to 17 is insane. James Pierce is going to be the pick. He's just too good to keep falling. It takes us to the Seahawks here, who obviously need offensive line help. They could use some help in the front seven as well as a lot of these teams do. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of pass rushers drafted in this first round. Probably a lot more to go here the second half of this first round. But I do think they get help on the offensive line. And I think the best offensive line prospect left in this draft is Armand Mimbu out of Missouri. I mean, he could play guard, but I do believe he's best at tackle. Guy is incredible. He's a guy also that could go top 15. He might be one of those guys that just nobody really expects, and he ends up going like top 10. So I think the Seahawks would be ecstatic to get him at 18. And pick number 19 here, Buccaneers. I think this is where the fall ends for Nicholas out of Texas A&M. Super athletic. He's not even going to be 21 years old at the draft. A breakout 2023, a little bit more of a quiet 2024. Bucks also could be a contender to go to wide receiver depending on what happens with Chris Godwin. And this could potentially be where Luther Burden's fall ends, but I feel like Nicholas is going to be the pick here. He's not going to fall out of the top 20. Now, this, my friends, is where Luther Burden could potentially be picked. Number 20 to the Denver Broncos. What? My predicament. What's going to happen? Matthew Golden out of Texas could very easily pass Luther Burden on the draft boards. Guy had an incredible playoff run. Super talented, Texas best receiver by a long margin, which is saying a lot because they did have Isaiah Bond. Also, Mika Egbuka could be in play here, but I am going to be boring. I think they're going to take Luther Burden. I think he'll be an incredible fit there, and Bo Nix is going to be loving life. I think Denver fans will be so happy with this one. And speaking of receiver, I feel like this is such an obvious pick. Steelers at 21 need receiver so bad. Like Mika Egbuka comes off the board. Could be shades of what was that? Was that the 2023 draft? Like we had, what, 4 receivers go back to back within like a 5-6 pick span. Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnson, etc. We could see shades of that here in this 2025 draft. And we have a Mika Egbuka going to the Steelers. Perfect fit. Whoever their quarterback is, probably Russell Wilson next year, is going to be happy. That takes us to the Los Angeles Chargers. And like, who knows what like Harbaugh is going to do here. I think without a shadow of a doubt, if somehow, some way Tyler Warren fell here, he would be the pick. And I think we all hope that doesn't happen because that would just not be good for the NFL because Tyler Warren would put up Brock Bowers numbers. I wouldn't be shocked if they went edge. They like need running back, but there's so many good running backs in this draft class. I don't think another running back goes here in the first round. You could get like a really good day 1 starter in the second round, maybe the third round. So I wouldn't be shocked if they went Jack Sawyer. Remember, Khalil Mack could be retiring. He's a free agent. Shamar Stewart could be in play here, but I do think they go ahead and grab themselves a tight end. And that's going to be Colston Loveland out of Michigan. And he might be even more of a prototypical Harbaugh tight end than Tyler Warren. He is just such a good run blocker. I mean, that's not to say Tyler Warren isn't a good run blocking tight end. Don't get me wrong there. But I don't know. I just feel like Colston Loveland just fits that Harbaugh tight end mold. I think he'd be over the moon. I mean, obviously, a former Michigan guy. So Harbaugh has a little bit of experience with him. I just feel like this pick just makes so much sense. It takes us to the Packers. They could use a little bit of everything. Like, they need interior defensive line. They need edge. I don't think they're going to take receiver. They could even go cornerback. Benjamin Morrison, I don't know. Like, he could be a middle first round guy. He also could fall to the second round. We'll have to see. Tyleek Williams could possibly be in play here. Honestly, I'm sitting here trying to decide between 3 players. Barron out of Texas. He just declared for the draft. He's insane. He could skyrocket up boards here. Jack Sawyer possibly. But you know what? I think they're going to be a team that falls in love with Shamar Stewart. Guy that hasn't really produced that much in college. He's a great run defender. Incredible size. Something's just telling me that this is a perfect fit. That takes us to the Vikings here. And I think the number 1 glaring need is going to be cornerback. They also need interior offensive line very bad. But I just don't think there's really anybody that you can really expect to plug and fill at guard right now. Like, nobody want to use a first round pick. They can get probably a guard in second round. So to me, this comes down to either Benjamin Morrison, Barron from Texas, or Siobhan Ravel out of East Carolina, which is such an interesting prospect, dude. He's 6'3", probably would run a 4.3 40. But the problem is he tore his ACL at the beginning of this last season. So, like, I don't even know if he's going to be healthy. But if he is and has an incredible combine, he's one of those guys that could shock you, end up being the number 1 corner off the board just based off his athletic traits. But the guy I feel like is the best corner left is me, Barron out of Texas. Guy had an incredible season, incredible playoff run, and I feel like the Vikings would love to have him in that secondary. That takes us to the Texans at pick number 25, and I think this is an obvious one. What was the Texans' biggest problem down the stretch? That offensive line let CJ Stroud down so bad, and I'm just going to go best offensive lineman on the board. And there's still some good ones left. Like, honestly, dude, Wyatt Millam out of West Virginia, he could end up being a top 15 guy. I don't know if he falls out of the first round. He's incredible, an incredible tackle. I think he's going to be at the Senior Bowl. I'm excited to watch him there. But at the same time, I feel like Josh Connolly is going to be the guy here. But again, I could be proven wrong. Like, I think, you know, either of these guys, Texans fans will be happy with, but I am going to go Josh Connolly here. They need the offensive line bad, and they get it. Now, the Rams here, another team that could go many different directions, man. Like, they obviously need some corner help. I mean, if Cooper Kupp retires, they could use wide receiver too. They obviously, too, could use tight end. They tried to trade up for Brock Bowers last year. Like, honestly, it would not shock me if, like, something crazy happened and Harold Fannin got picked here in the first round. This is probably my favorite tight end prospect. Like, Tyler Warren's probably, like, he's the better player. I think this guy has insane potential. I feel like he's so underrated as a run blocker. Everybody, that says not. Like, yeah, he led the country in receiving yards as a tight end, but he's not a good run blocker. Watch the tape, dude. He's not that bad of a run blocker. So if Harold Fannin ends up getting taken in the first round, dude, RBT told you so. So I'm just saying, dude, don't be surprised if, you know, the Rams need a tight end bad for that offense. They went with the Harold Fannin here. Mason Taylor's great too. This is a really good tight end class. But no, I don't think Harold Fannin goes here, but I wouldn't be shocked. I think think this is where the fall of Benjamin Morrison ends. They're going to go cornerback. That takes us to the Commanders at pick 27. I think they need some help on defense. Whether it be the secondary, the front seven, like they could use probably just best player available. Like this could be where I see Ravel go, but at the end of the day, I think they end up going edge. Now the question is going to be Jack Sawyer, Landon Jackson, JT, could be Mike Green out of Marshall. I think Mike Green out of Marshall could be one of the most underrated players in the entire draft. He's insane, like incredible. But you know what, dude? I think I'm actually going to Landon Jackson here. It's incredible out of Arkansas, guys. 6'7", 280. Incredible run defender off the edge. Amazing pass rush potential. Landon Jackson, I do think, goes over Jack Sawyer. I think Jack Sawyer is just a little bit too stiff, not as athletic enough. Jack Sawyer, great player. Could end up being an all-pro, but I just think some teams are going to be deterred by like what he does at the combine. Now here with the Ravens, they could need tackle because Ronnie Stanley is probably going to be a free agent. They probably could use edge as well, but I feel like tackle is probably the bigger need, and the big question is who? Oh, probably Wyatt Milne. Oh, absolutely. They would be so happy if he fell to him. Oh my God, this is an incredible pick for the Ravens here. It brings us to the Buffalo Bills, and honestly, I have one guy in mind here. They could go pass rush, they could go wide receiver. Honestly, Matthew Golden here could be kind of perfect. But this is a guy I do feel like gets taken in the first round. This will probably like surprise some of you guys. I don't know how you're going to feel about it, but just watch. I don't know if he's going to go in the Bills. I feel like it's a great fit here, but I think somebody's going to take him in the first round. It's going to be one of those shockers. Jahad Campbell out of Alabama. Oh my gosh, as an Alabama fan, I've loved watching this guy play. All-around linebacker. He can do whatever you need him to do. Great tackler, decent in coverage. I feel like this would be an incredible fit for that Buffalo Bill defense. Takes us to the Eagles here, who's just kind of had a luxury pick, you know, like they are so good, they're so talented that like anybody to pick here is just gonna add to the squad. Like they really probably just go best player available. And call me crazy, but I really do believe the best player left in this draft as of right now is defensive end Mike Green out of Marshall. He has untapped potential. You put him on that Eagles front seven. This is a guy probably 2-3 years in a line could be one of those defensive ends that get 10+ sacks a season. That's how good Mike Green is. All pro potential. The Chiefs here, don't even get me started, brother. Like, they're so good. Like, they could go wide receiver, probably not. Like, they've shown they can have 10 to tap man out there at freaking wide receiver and still win the Super Bowl. So, we'll probably go with a bigger position of need, and a bigger position of need for the Chiefs here is probably on the defensive line. I believe that's going to be Tyleik Williams. Like, he's a guy that could go top 20. He's that good. So, for him falling to 31, I think that Chiefs front office would be very happy. And that takes us to the Detroit Lions, and honestly, this pick just feels like a match made in heaven. Jack Sawyer, last pick of the first round. I think somebody's just going to love his intangibles. Like, he's a guy they're just going to love to add to the culture of a team. I feel like he fits perfectly in that Detroit Lion culture. You have him on one side, Aiden Hutchinson on the other. Oh my God, that would put fear straight into the eyes of the opposing quarterbacks. So this, my friends, is my first 2025 NFL mock draft. Let me know how much you hated your favorite team's pick of mine in the comment section below. And also let me know who you think and want your favorite team to pick in this upcoming draft. And if you enjoyed that one, you can click right here to watch another banger on the channel. While you're still here, guys, click that sub button, brother. I am desperate, trying to hit 2 million subs before the day I die. We got this. Click that sub button. And don't forget to download Tennis Class by either scanning the QR code on the screen or by clicking the link in the description box below.